Want to welcome everyone back to the Easy Convo. I'm joined here again with my co-host, Mr. Zaid Dajani. And joining us today is not only a familiar face, this is a stamp in the Kansas City basketball community. This is a stamp in the Washburn community. We are honored to have our guest today. I'm going to let Zaid take it and run down a lovely resume that I know he has.
We're sitting down with the Liberty legend today, who went to Washburn University and played collegiate hoops there. We'll kind of touch more on his career, but a very decorated career at Washburn. And now he's taking his time at Washburn and mentoring the youth and training the youth to hopefully be as good as the player he was.
That's the
Yeah,
plan.
our guest today is Jalen Lewis. We appreciate you coming on, man, and we hope this is an easy conversation for you.
For sure, man. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Yes, sir. We'll start off with some snaps.
Nice.
Start off with-
Nice.
Man, for anybody listening to this, before you start getting to judging and before we get into the questions, don't think we unprepared. Jalen has a list of resume that could fill up an almanac. This dude, like I'm not even joking. If you don't believe us, go look up. Do your Googles. Do your Googles on Jalen Lewis. It do hit
Man,
different.
I did
But
all right, man. I did a
you
couple.
know, and that's when you know somebody hoop when they be like, I did okay. You know, I did my time. You know.
I did my time.
But yeah, like no joke. So don't think that we just, off the cuff with it. Lou just got a long list and we want to get in a conversation with him. So, but
Yes, sir.
Lou, we
Man,
appreciate
excited
you
for it.
being on, baby, for real.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited to talk with y'all, man. Haven't seen y'all in a minute, so we good to chop it up.
Yeah, no, exciting. Just to start off, you just gonna kind of talk to us how you got into basketball and where it all started for you.
Yeah, man. My brother, I have an older brother. He's 7 years older than me. He played Division II ball at William Jewell here in Liberty, where I'm from. So it's just something I've grown up around. My dad played college ball as well. So it's kind of an easy transition, being a little kid, following them around. We talk about it on my own podcast, but I used it originally as just a bonding opportunity between myself and my brother and my dad. With him being, like I said, 7 years older than me, it was kind of hard for us to bond on much else, right? Because I saw him kind of as like a second dad in the house, more so than like your traditional brother relationship. So for me, like I said, it was just a way for me to be around them too. And then I kind of just took a liking to it, ended up being pretty good at it early. So I kind of just ran with it and grew my own love from there.
And Lou, you're not too much older than Zayd and I. When we shared, I'm sure we shared a lot of the same, but could you tell us a little bit about while you're growing up, some of those mentors that you had, in not only Kansas City area, but just in general in your basketball career? You kind of touched on obviously your dad and your brother and things like that. Does it stretch beyond just that?
For sure, for sure. I've always talked about this, but I have been lucky enough to have never played for a bad coach. Like I don't think I've ever, some people run into some coaches, they got some scary stories, some nightmare stories about coaches they've been around in their career. I don't have any of them, man. I played for some tremendous coaches who knew the game, starting with my dad. He's obviously a huge role model for me, and especially early, teaching me the nuances of the game and kind of setting that foundation and love for me. So he's definitely the start. I already touched on my brother too, just having a mentor to look up to, somebody who paved the way. One thing my brother did a really good job of is just showing me what work ethic was and being dedicated to a process and in a journey and showing up every day to get better. And then it kind of sprinkles down, man. I played for Victor Williams. I know Zayd is familiar with Coach V. He is one of the most influential dudes in my life, and more specifically from a basketball front. So he's helped me out a bunch, man. I played high school basketball for Roger Sturtz, who now has a son who's one of the best players in the country at the college level in Bennett. He was great for me too, man. Going into my high school career, a lot of those accolades and stuff that I got in high school were because he gave me an opportunity early, man. I started as a freshman and he coached the game the right way. And then going on to Coach Ballard at Washburn and giving me an opportunity to play at the next level. At my size isn't really, a huge thing for somebody to have a super successful career sitting at 5'9", 5'10", or as the roster had me listed 5'11", which was nuts. But yeah, man, I've never played for a bad coach, so I've got a lot of people that I owe my basketball career to and some of the success that I've had. So I would say those are some of the guys.
A lot of OG names that you mentioned there. A
Man,
lot of
man.
Kansas City legends. You mentioned, you started as a freshman at Liberty. Kind of walk us through kind of what your high school career, kind of what it entailed of, and the accolades you received, and kind of when did your recruitment start picking up, throughout your high school time.
Right. Yeah, man. So I came in as a freshman to Liberty. We had a couple guys. We had a group of sophomores when I was a freshman who had came off like a really successful middle school ball career. The team, I think, went undefeated that year. So we had a lot of promise coming up. So I knew, like, man, I got my work cut out for me. We had a couple good guards on that team. But I just came in, man, as a freshman to tryouts and tried to compete, do all the things that the coaches taught me how to do growing up. And like I said before, Coach Sturts really gave me an opportunity to be on varsity as a freshman. I didn't start the first couple games, but was able to kind of show what I could do, and then ended up starting pretty early. And then that obviously carried over to the remainder of my high school career. But picked up some accolades on the way. I was a really good shooter at that time, so being able to hit the three ball was always a staple of my game. So I got the 3-point record at Liberty all time. I also have the 3-point record for a single season and in a game. Picked up a lot of points too, so I'm the all-time leading scorer at Liberty. I did pass the ball enough, so I'm also the assist record holder at Liberty as well.
You
So
got Zayd shocked over here. Zayd
hey,
ain't realize. Zayd ain't know. He said, "Oh."
dude, I pride myself on that one because all the rest of them are just a bunch of scoring records. So I like to make it clear, like, hey, man, I gave that rock up a little bit. But yeah, man, I think I also had a couple. I think Javion Byers, I had the free throw percentage record as well, but E's teammate Javion, he beat me out on that one. So I
Not
think in
Javion.
total I have, I don't know, I think like six right now, 6 or 7 records at Liberty. So I'm a Hall of Famer there, which is pretty cool. So yeah, man, got a good opportunity. Went into AAU ball. I played for Coach Vic. At that time we were called Team Rush. Now it's VWBA. But I had a really good time with him, man. He taught me the game, and like I said, gave me a bunch of opportunities traveling the country to play against some of the more elite talent in the country. And he was, monumental in my success in terms of recruitment. At my size, I picked up some early traction, like early in my high school career, just from some of the local teams. So Jewel, with my brother playing there, they obviously knew who I was early, and they offered me pretty early. But other than that, man, it was kind of like everyone else, a slow burn, slow process. I think I didn't pick up my first offer until, well, other than Jewel, I didn't pick up a first like official offer, I would say, not to discredit Jewel at all, but like I said, I just had the relationship there. But until junior year summer, like my 17 summer, I picked up one pretty late. I had a good couple tournaments here in Kansas City. So SEMO offered me, and then the same day, Washburn actually offered me the exact same day. And that was pretty much it, bro. I only had 2 official offers. I committed pretty early to Washburn. Had some mid-major D1s looking at me throughout the course of my career, but just felt like it was right with Washburn, and obviously it panned out, man. Had a pretty good successful career there as well.
I remember seeing some of your clips in high school. I don't know. It might have been at the Missouri State tournament game. I remember
Right.
on
Yeah.
Twitter someone reposted it, but I don't know. But I just remember you were killing at the state tournament.
Dude, that was the most ridiculous game I've ever had. To like a little bit of a backstory on that. I was getting looked at by Missouri State. At the time they had an assistant coach who coached my brother when my brother was at Jewel. So we kind of had a prior connection there. But they just would not like pull the trigger, man. Like we were just going back and forth for I'm talking about like over a year of just going back and forth of like, man, I think I deserve the offer, but didn't get it. So we finally played at Missouri State. We played the number 1 team in the state, Webster Groves. and they were coming off of a state championship the previous year. I think at that time when we played, I think they had an undefeated season that year, so they were like super good. Had a at that time Texas commit, and then a dude named Cartier Gordon, who I was really good friends with, who 6'10" dude, had offers from Kentucky and a bunch of other high majors. But dude, I had 40. I wasn't missing shots. I just playing out of my mind, and
Man,
they wanted me. They were like, man, maybe we messed up, man. Like, would you commit? And I'm like, heck no, man. I'm going to woo,
man, this
going to
this
the burn, baby.
Lou, I do wanna touch on your recruitment and things like that because I know on you and your brother's pod, you guys speak a lot on the mental health side of basketball
Right.
and just the ins and outs of that side of it. And I want to learn more about your perspective on that. But I do want to highlight this part real quick. Um, I remember when I was in eighth grade and you guys
Yeah.
played. I think you were a senior in high school. You guys had played Cartier, and we watched. I was in health class. I don't know if you guys know the name, Mr. Abbott. Shout out, Mr. Abbott.
Shout out, Mr. Abbott.
We turned on Hoop Focus. If y'all remember Hoop Focus,
Yeah, bro.
turned on the Hoop Focus highlights of that game and sat there, and everybody in the class, from boys, girls, if you watch basketball, didn't watch basketball, oh, oh, oh. I mean, it was, and yeah, that just speaks on my age right there. But
Dude, I
anyway,
didn't. That was the most. I mean, bro, to this day, that was probably the best I've ever felt in a game. Now, for the listeners, we just got to make this clear. I had 40, and we lost by 30. So, you know,
man,
that just
play
to
like that.
we probably should have kept that
Play
out,
like
but
that.
just to let you know how good Webster Groves was that year, man.
Yeah,
So it was,
Upster was a great
man,
program.
that was a wonderful feeling, man. Even to go to state, so we had a good
Mhm.
time.
Yeah, I think we all, other than Zayd, so really just me and Lou, we know what it's like to be in those moments. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah, I never went to stay, so I
Come
really
on, man.
Um, now, Lou, can you kind of walk us through? I touched on a little second ago the mental side of it. Can you kind of walk us through your mindset, if you could, as a from a freshman in high school to a senior in high school, and just kind of the development and maturity that you began to have as you're seeing yourself becoming this player that obviously when you work out you have ambitions to be a player in your mind, but when you see it come into fruition, can you kind of walk us through your mentality and just the shifts that you see in yourself as the years go on?
Right. Yeah. So coming into my freshman year, and I try to tell some of my clients this now, who I think are good enough to play, that early into their high school career. It's a lot of just belief in yourself and a lot of intentionality behind what you're doing day to day. Which again, I credit a lot of that stuff to my dad. Like none of that stuff, me being able to start as a freshman, me being a Hall of Famer at Liberty, me having a bunch of the records there, was by accident. And I try to get a lot of people to understand that, and without, sounding like I'm just trying to prove a point, but it's real. Like I remember being in eighth grade and my dad sitting me down at our kitchen table and being like, all right, you're going into freshman year. What do you want to accomplish? Like we're crunching numbers. I knew I wanted to score 1,000. So we're doing the math. I'm like, all right, you get these many games guaranteed in high school a season. That means you have to score X amount a season to get to 1,000 by your senior year or whatever, your junior year. Oh, you want to beat the record? Well, this is what it's going to take. You got to get this many shots up throughout the week. So my dad is very, very good at that, at just holding us accountable to be intentional about what we're doing. Like we never just do things for no reason. So I think a big part of, my mindset was I knew what it took. So I wasn't going into the season confused or like, what do I need to do? Like I already had those answers right in front of me. And then going into my freshman year trial was just like, all right, compete. And my dad told me, don't leave it in the coach's hands. Like you have to make it unquestionable that you belong on the court as a freshman. And if you don't, then they're just going to take a junior over you. Like the coach just is going to default to that, or take a senior over you and just put you on JV or whatever. So I don't know, man. And I think that gave me a lot of confidence just because I knew exactly what I was getting myself into. I wasn't going into things lost. And then, bro, I worked extremely hard, especially in high school, man. I worked extremely hard. I was a gym rat. I stayed in the gym every single day trying to figure out a way to get better. I knew I didn't have the size. I knew I wasn't, I'm athletic, but I knew I wasn't jumping out the gym and dunking on people. So I knew I had to, make my money a different way. And I prepared the right way, man. Like I said earlier, my brother is very hardworking dude who, you know, maybe wasn't as naturally good at basketball as I was. So he really had to work to go earn a Division II scholarship. And so from fifth grade on, I was doing, college level workouts or high school level workouts with a dude who was preparing for the next level, man. So I got blessed in that sense, but man, we did things the right way and we were taught to do things the right way. So I didn't feel like it was an accident or a surprise going into my freshman year that I was able to accomplish that stuff. And then as the years go on, you just get confidence. So I think I averaged like 9 points my freshman year. Sophomore year going into it, I was like, all right, I've already got my feet wet. I know what's up. I'm ready to really do what I do and take over. So I made a huge jump there. I think I averaged like 16 points my sophomore year. That went up to 18 points my junior year. Now I'm all state, all conference. I think I got player of the year my sophomore year in the conference. So man, the confidence just kind of grew, the belief in myself grew, and it kind of just took a form of its own for real. Yeah.
Definitely putting in the work, in high school, it kind of sets the framework of how you're going to go about your business, on the court, because you've been in all the situations that you find yourself in on the court.
Right.
So kind of,
And my brother and I talk about this a lot. Like, that's not to say that I never struggled with, confidence or any mental health issues throughout my career, even though I was having success. For the listeners, my brother's a psychologist. He's a therapist in Arizona, so he's very much tapped into the mental side of sports and just in general in life, man. So, I struggle with things. I struggle with confidence. I struggle with pressure and all that stuff. But putting the work in, like I said, it really did help out. Like I didn't feel lost in any of the moments, especially in high school. Like I didn't feel lost. I felt like I belonged in the space that I was in. And I felt like I ultimately deserved it. So that kind of helped out whenever I was feeling some of the pressures and the confidence dips and all the stuff we naturally go through. So
obviously you touched on your, high accolade high school career, and then now, you're transitioning from after your senior year of high school to Washburn. Kind of what was this transition from the high school to the college level like for you?
it's super tough, bro. It's super, as you both know, it's really tough. Especially coming off of the career that I had in high school where I had the ball in my hands 99.9 of the time, both in school ball and in AAU ball. Like I was the guy on the team getting the most shots up. I'm shooting the ball the most. Plays are ran for me specifically, to then come into even a Division II school, where, there's a lot of dogs and a lot of really good players, as you both know. It was a huge adjustment, man. Like the first couple months, and I came in with a little bit of like arrogance. I didn't know what Division II basketball was about. More specifically in the MIAA, which at that time, and it still is, by far the best Division II conference in the country. So, we I had this arrogance in me that felt like I belonged at the mid-major level. A little bit of a chip, knowing that a lot of those schools didn't pull the trigger on me at all. But I did come in with the arrogance to get slapped in the mouth, like, oh no, there's really good basketball players at this level, and especially at Washburn, which is known to be one of the top, basketball schools in the country historically. So it was a huge adjustment. Like I always tell some of my clients this now, like I went from even in a practice, shooting a million times a practice and scrimmages and whatever, to going to Washburn my first couple months. I'm like calling my dad, like, yo, am I good at basketball anymore, bro? Like I'm shooting 3 times a practice. Like I can't get a shot up. I can't get by anybody. I'll tell you a funny story, bro. It was my freshman year, super early into the season. We had a guy named Dev on our team, dude from New York. He was a senior. You guys know him.
Yeah.
He was a senior when I was a freshman. You know, New York dude, so he's tough, he's competitive, he talks his stuff. And we were up in Whiting, which is our ox gym at Washburn for the listeners. We're in like a heated practice. I'm on the team and I got the ball. I'm on offense. And I cannot get past Dev to save my life. Like I cannot get from the slot area to inside the 3-point line to save my life. Like 2 dribbles. And Ballard is like stopping the practice every 2 seconds because I can't get by him. He's like, come on, Lou, get by him. Get by him. He keeps throwing me the ball. Like, come on, get by him. Dev would stop me. He'd chest me up and just bump me off. Come on, stop. Get by him. Get by him. Finally, I took the ball. This is the weakest thing I've ever done in my life. Like, I'm embarrassed to even admit this. I took the ball. We had Javion Blake on our team, who was a freaking All-American, like a fantastic basketball player. I took the ball and just beeline to him and handed him the ball off. I was like, bro, I can't do it anymore. I can't get by this guy at all. And Ballard, as you can imagine, stopped practice, chewed me out. I was like, don't ever do that again. So, man, it was just like, you're going through it those first couple months. Man, he's like, come on, Lou. Like, I couldn't do it, bro. Couldn't get by this senior dude. I did some weak, uncompetitive stuff, and it cost me. But yeah, man, it was super tough. And then you kind of get acclimated like anything. You know, by January, I was shooting more, kind of finding myself, figuring out how to play in our system, figure out how to play against the difference in physicality and length and all that stuff and speed of the game. But it worked out, man. And again, credit Coach Ballard, like, for giving me an opportunity to play as a freshman. I played like 15, 20 minutes, somewhere in that little range a game. So it wasn't like I wasn't getting opportunities. I was in games. I was playing pretty well some games, playing my role, hitting shots. I beat the freshman record for most threes scored by a freshman at Washburn. So, you know, I'm in games, and that really helped out, especially transitioning on to my last 3 years.
I'm glad you actually said that, Lou. Beat the freshman record. Looking at it right now, 58 threes as a freshman and averaging close to 9 points a game. Yeah, so that's like, I mean, for any freshman in college that may be listening to this, or anyone who's a senior about to transition into a freshman, like, that goes to show that, like, those are all big shots. It's not like you're you know, you get to go out there and you get to fire at will. And you kind of touched on it there with the story about Dev, who, for anybody that knows Dev, he tries really hard. He
Yeah.
tries really, really hard.
I wonder if he would even remember that stuff, bro. Probably not, but that shit stuck with me. I was like, man, I can't believe I just did that. It was just so much different. Like I've
Yeah.
never struggled with, especially with my quickness. Like I'm a very quick, fast twitch guy. Especially with my quickness, I just couldn't believe that I couldn't get by this dude. But, you know, seniority, he was way bigger than me, tougher at that time, obviously. But it allowed me to grow up, though. It allowed me to grow up pretty quick. So it was good.
And my question to you is, would you say that's when it kind of clicked for you, or was that clicking moment per se something that continued to gradually happen over the years? Were there multiple moments where you were like, kind of that welcome to college basketball moment, or okay, this is what college basketball is like? Was that a one moment thing, or was it something that happened over time?
I would say it was a stretch between, you know, we report in June to do some, you know, camp stuff, and we're playing pickup and all that stuff. From June till the first game of the season, that was like the hardest stretch for me, where I was like, oh my God, like where, you know, you kind of struggle internally. You're like, man, I thought I was some mid-major D1 guy. Like, I can't even do anything at this D2 school. So kind of go through those little mental battles of, like, you know, questioning if you're good enough and all that stuff, questioning if you belong or if you'll ever figure this stuff out. That stretch was really tough, which Coach Ballard and the staff did a really good job of just encouraging us, like, yo, once we get rolling in the season, like, all these little wrinkles and kinks kind of work themselves out, which they very much did. So, man, I think my second game at Washburn, like regular season game, I had like 14 points got thrown in. My first game, other than the exhibition versus Kansas, my first game, I got in for like 20 seconds, and then I picked up 2 quick fouls. literally within 20 seconds, just too excited, too amped up to play, a little nervous, obviously the little jitters. So I picked up two quick ones and then just sat. So I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that's how I start this stuff. Then the second game, come out, get another opportunity. Like I said, I hit some shots. I think I had like 14 points. So that's where stuff kind of relaxed for me. And I'm like, all right, I can play at this level. I can do some things and kind of find my way.
You
Zayd, I
know,
don't. Zayd, I know you had a question real quick, but Lou, I wanted to ask you this too. You touched on your mental frame of like, man, I'm a mid-major recruit, like, and I can't get past this D2 guy. Could you
Right.
touch real quickly on the importance of the levels of college basketball for anyone listening? Like, it doesn't matter if you're NAIA, Division 2, Division 3, junior college, Division 1, high major, mid major, low major. Like, could you touch on the? Because I feel like sometimes that gets kind of lost in the wind with
Right.
people going through recruitment.
hmm I think, and just because of how we're wired, just human nature, I think it's one of those things where you're never fully going to believe it until you experience it. But because I've been told my whole life, like there's hoopers at every level. My brother played Division 2 basketball, so I watched every single game for 4 years of Division 2 basketball, and even had the awareness then, like these guys who are on the court with my brother are hoopers. Like these are dudes that I think are amazing at basketball. But you know, there's a stigma behind the whole being a Division 1 basketball player, which is something we all strive for as a kid, and you should. Um, but man, there's hoopers at every level, and we were such a good team that we could have beaten a ton of mid-major schools pretty easily. Um, so, the title and everything, it truly doesn't matter. But like I said, I think that that's something that you can tell a kid a million times, but they're never going to fully get it until they're kind of thrown in with the wolves. And I very much was, and had an opportunity to compete on a team as a freshman that was top 25 in the country, and played against, the likes of Northwest, and at that time, like Missouri Southern had a really, really good team with a bunch of guys who could have played at the Division 1 level easily. You talk about Trevor Hudgens, like, dude, he went to the NBA out of a Division 2 school. We had guys on our team. Javion Blake is a pro right now and is killing it. Um, Tyler Guyman didn't play pro basketball, but is one of the best players that I've ever played with in my life, and one of the best by far the best point guard I've ever played with in my life. So there's hoopers at every level, man, and it's all about system and fit. And now as a trainer, I get to work with some college dudes. I work with some NAIA guys who are super good at basketball who just didn't get the opportunity, or felt like NAIA was a better fit. So yeah, man, it's important to get away from that stigma. But like I said, I don't think people will truly get that until they're kind of thrown into it.
and we've kind of been talking about your freshman year, and you had a really successful, freshman year. It helps a lot, to kind of get your feet wet as a freshman and kind of see what college basketball is like all around. Kind of walk us through, your sophomore and progressing to your senior year, and kind of what your experience at Washburn was past your freshman year.
Yeah, my sophomore year was a little bit of a struggle, and we weren't bad by any stretch, but just the standard, that Coach Ballard had for us, and historically where Washburn's been at, as a team and as a program. It wasn't a super successful sophomore year, just as a team, but individually, there was definitely some growth for me. I think I averaged like 12 points a game or something like that. Was able to step into a bigger role coming from my freshman year. We lost a couple key guys like Dave Salak, who did some scoring for us, Tyus, who did scoring, Javion Blake, who I already talked about, but did a bunch of scoring for us. But we just, I was able to step into a bigger role, which was great for me, especially going into like my junior, senior year. But it was a big adjustment. I had to also in college play a different position that I had played my entire life. So I came in to Washburn only having any experience being a point guard. But we talked about Tyler Guyman, and if anybody knows him, knows that spot was not getting taken. rightfully so. He's like I said, he's the best point guard I've ever played with, one of the best point guards in the country. So I had to adjust and learn how to play the two. And I think that sophomore year, we had an assistant coach at the time named Jordan Banks, who you guys obviously know, who really spent a lot of time with me before practice, after practice, kind of teaching me some of the nuances of playing off the ball that I hadn't really had to consider before in my career. So being able to kind of experiment with that my sophomore year was really big for me, and just put me in a position to do the thing that I like to do the best, which was score the ball, and kind of leave the decision making stuff up to Ty, who did a really good job with that stuff. So it was good. And then transitioning from sophomore to junior year was really big for me. I think that was one of my better years at Washburn. Now just being an upperclassman and being one of the guys on the team who was looked at and trusted, and teams had to scout for me, and we couldn't have as much success as we had if it wasn't for me being on the team, which was a good feeling. So just being in that leadership role my junior and senior year was huge, and allowed me to end my career off the way that I really wanted to, and came in wanting to have that type of impact. So it was good.
You take a different approach from the typical guy who finds themselves very successful in their college and high school careers. You didn't go professional, and we kind of talked about that a little bit before the pod when it was just us talking, but kind of go into that a little bit if you don't mind, and then into what you're doing now. You're leaving a stamp on the youth in the Kansas City basketball area. Not only the youth, but guys past, I guess, youth, but you know what I'm trying to ask, man. You know
Right.
what I'm saying.
A couple Washburn accolades too, just so people understand the level of your career at Washburn. I'm
You
sure
want me to drop some?
Just a couple records you got too.
Yeah.
So people understand.
Yeah, hold on. I got him right here. You know what I'm saying?
You got him up. I got him pulled up. Go
Name
ahead, E.
MIAA tournaments. Me and Zay call this the Daniel Abreu Award. If you know Daniel Abreu, you know Daniel Abreu. Hey, he was named tournament most valuable player his junior year. He was third team All MIAA his senior year. Reached double figures in 25 games his senior year. I'm kind of jumping all over the place again, but freshman year broke the 3-point record. I think percentage-wise, this is just off the top of my head, but I think percentage-wise, it's like you and Levi are like right there for like first in all-time percentage.
Right.
At Washburn.
Yeah, I think Levi's got that one. I don't know what the percent. I shot 42 for a career. I think he's over that. That dude catch and shoot was ridiculous.
Yeah, downtown.
Downtown Brown, the guy, Topeka's finest. That was my shooting buddy, though, man. That was my post-practice shooting buddy, man. We always got in competitions with each other and stuff after practice, and some shooting stuff. So that was my dude. I'm all-time in threes made in a career. Scored 1,000 points my junior year. I was top 10 in scoring. When I left Washburn, I have no idea if that still stands. I'd imagine not. I'm just thinking like Andrew Orr had to have been up there, maybe.
I was thinking
other
maybe
guys,
and from what I know,
Jack, Jack
and Jack, maybe, yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's probably beaten. But when I left, I was top 10. I think that's about it. I think I shot 49% from three my junior year. Levi shot just under that, but at one point we were both shooting over 50% from three. Trevor Hudgens at that time we were top 5 in all of NCAA at the time. I think it was like
that's what I was thinking of, where you guys were top in the country. Yeah,
man, it was like 3/4 of the way through the season, and we were top 5 in all of NCAA basketball, no matter what division. And it was me, Levi, and Trevor Hudgens. So you had 3 dudes from the MIAA who were in that top 5 list, which is nuts. Our league was a battle every single night. But yeah, man, we had a good little career. It was fun. But on your question, this is a long story. It's a long story. I'll try to make it short. I did not go play professional basketball. Um, I had a fifth year, a COVID year. I also did not take that. So I played 4 years at Washburn. We were playing in the NCAA tournament, second round at the Pentagon, South Dakota, my senior year. So my real senior year, my fourth year. And my wife, now girlfriend at the time, was pregnant throughout that entire year. I get a text. We're about to play Northwest in the second round of regionals. I get a text from her that morning before shoot around, like, yo, I'm not feeling too good. I'm going to go to the hospital because she was pregnant. I was like, oh, shoot, I'm about to, I have twin daughters for the listeners. I'm about to miss the birth of my kids. Like, this is going to be crazy. So I go play the game. We end up losing. I didn't even ride the bus back with the team. I hopped in a car with my brother, and we drove 8 hours straight to the hospital in Kansas City. So I get to hospital like 2 a.m. and I had my daughters a couple of days later. So basketball at that point was over for me. I wasn't even considering coming back for my fifth year. I wasn't considering going and playing professional. I was like, all right, it's time to grow up and get a big boy job, like the whole deal. So I worked a corporate job for about half a year, decided that it wasn't for me, and I quit, just like randomly quit, and was like, hey, told my boss, like, yo, I'm quitting. I'm about to go train so I can go play overseas. Kind of go through that whole process, got hooked up with an agent and the whole deal. Nothing, we talked about this before the pod, nothing was really going on with that in terms of opportunities showing up. So it was something that was kind of in the back of my mind. In that meantime, I started training in Kansas City. And I had done some training when I was in high school, just for some extra cash in the pocket and go to dinner and stuff. But I was like, all right, this will kind of be easy transition coming off, high school accolades and all that. It's young enough to where people still kind of knew who I was. So I've reached out to some people in the area who were playing basketball, and I started training in that meantime while I'm training myself to see if I can go overseas. Ended up getting the opportunity. Well, the training stuff kind of ramped up pretty fast. So I was able to, build up a good client base and get some money and the whole deal. So I was like, oh man, I kind of like doing this. Then I finally got an offer to go play in Mexico. Wasn't really, the money was fine, but I wasn't really excited about, having to leave my daughters, who at that time were about 6 months old. So I was like, man, tried to negotiate with the team. I was like, hey, would you guys help me, bring my family over? Like, is that an option? And they're like, nah, we're not really looking to do that because you're a rookie. We don't know if you're going to pan out. So I was like, all right, well, I really don't want to leave my daughters, so I don't think I'm going to do it. So I was like, all right, well, I still have this fifth year of eligibility. I'll throw my name in the portal and kind of see what happens, see if I can go, compete for a year at the mid-major level. End up getting a lot of, like in a very short period of time, end up getting a lot of Division I offers to go play. One of which was Wichita State, who just so happened to be, by far the closest to our area of the schools that were looking at me to come play. Took a visit there. Long story short, didn't get enough in the early NIL days to justify leaving training. So I was like, I think I'm just going to stick to the skill development stuff and make a whole career out of this and whole business out of it. And, part of me is like, oh man, I wish I could have played for that last year for sure. It's something probably always going to think about, or man, what if I played overseas? But I love what I do. I love, training and being around kids. Working out and training and waking up every day going to the gym was one of my favorite parts about being a player. So now I get to, do that for a job and a career, which has been really rewarding for me now. So that's the story. I tried to make that short, went long, but that's the whole deal.
No, it's a real life inspiring story, man. So appreciate you for sharing that one.
Sure.
Now that you're in your, doing your training, what's one lesson from your college career that, feels like how you shape the kids you train today?
Something that Coach Ballard was really good at teaching us and instilling in us is like, and one thing that I, like most about him is just how obsessed he is with what he does. And obviously you guys can attest to that. And it's a trait that literally everyone in my basketball career and in my life, those guys that I talked about earlier on the pod, all of those guys share that character trait. We're all obsessed with basketball and we love it, and it means the world to us. So I try to tell my clients that now, where it's like, man, especially as you start moving up in levels, like if you're not just absolutely obsessed with this stuff, it's going to be a really long and tough road for you. And I've taken that in even as a trainer, like not being content and not getting comfortable, but constantly figuring out ways to grow and just surrounding myself with, the game that has done so much for me. Like the dudes that I've met, the teams I've been on, I've won championships, I've been in fun games, I've been on trips, I've been to places around the country, all because of basketball, which is just insane to me when you really think about it. And obviously, you guys know the feeling. But I would say that, man, it's just like learn how to be obsessed with this stuff and take whatever comes with it. And like, dude, there's been times in college where, I've been interested in other stuff. Like Coach Ballard and I had a bunch of those conversations about what I wanted to do post college. And for you guys who don't know, I love clothes. I love fashion. I thought about going to fashion school, and I got a bunch of connects here with some friends that I'm cool with who are also in that space. So I thought I really wanted to go do that post college. But once you're done, man, like that itch just kind of brings you back to like, dude, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is who I am. I freaking love basketball. I love everything about it. So I try to instill that into the kids in hopes that, they can find that passion, because I know what the outcome is. It's always a positive outcome. Like I touched on, bro, we've met. We're boys. All us three are boys because of this game. We didn't even play on a team together, and we're still boys. Like we're on a podcast chopping it up because of basketball, and where the game has taken us, which I think is super cool. So, if people if they learn to be obsessed with this stuff and be 2 feet in the circle, as Coach Ballard used to say, the reward 2 feet in, the reward is always positive. So that's my biggest thing.
That's real, man. You got to be 2 feet in.
You got to be 2 feet
Can't
in.
be 1 foot in.
We heard that plenty.
Oh my goodness, that's real. That's real life though, and that's one thing I can relate to it 100%. Playing for Ballard, you kind of afterwards you get into it a lot with him while you're playing for him, but afterwards you get a chance to kind of reflect, and he is about what he says he's about, and that obsession that you spoke on is 100% real when it comes to him.
Right. And when when you're like Z, Vic and all those dudes, like, bro,
Yeah.
when you're around guys like that, it's just contagious. It's contagious, man. And it's like I said, the outcome is always positive. Vic does basketball for a living. He didn't go pro, but he does basketball for a living. Ballard does basketball for a living. My Coach Sturz did basketball for a living. Like the outcome is just always great. So it's panned out for me. I love this game.
Even if you don't go down the basketball route after playing college basketball, like I see a lot of just traits that I've learned in college basketball translating to other parts of my life, in law
Right.
school. Stick my head down and be obsessed with studying for 8 hours a
Right.
day, staying locked in, and like, everyone's thinking this is a lot of work and all this, complaining
Yeah.
and all that, but you're just, you're used to being busy, you're used to balancing things, you're used to, you know, every time you step on the court giving 110%, every time you step in do an assignment at school or whatever, give 110%. So
Right.
it's got a lot of transferable skills um, into anything you do, whether you go down the basketball route or a different path.
Right, bro. Right. Being a parent, like, bro, I'm a dad. Like, hear plenty of parents who complain about some of the daily tasks they got to do. Like you said, man, we've learned perseverance and grit, seeing a process through for years and years and years before you reap the benefits of it. Like like you said, bro, there's so many transferable things.
But you're telling me we don't got to do a 6 a.m. boot camp?
Bro,
I gotta do is wake up and go to class.
dog, what? Like, dudes be getting tired in my work. So I'm like, y'all don't know nothing about a 6 a.m. boot camp, bro. Like, be quiet. You're not
Yeah,
tired yet.
8 a.m. class right after
Man,
test.
yeah, then you got pick up and weights after that. Like, come on, man, you're not tired.
Yeah.
Get on the line. He's got his head up his ass. Like, hey, coach, I
Yo,
don't
coach,
mess
hey,
with
Coach Ballard used to be on me, bro. Like when Jaden Monday came in as a freshman, and for
you.
those who
Shout
don't
out
know,
Mud. Shout out Mud.
this is the quickest guy in the freaking world. And so he would be dusting. Like I was used to winning a lot of the sprints in boot camp throughout my first couple years. Then this dude comes in as a freshman, like cooking me on the sprints, cooking me in the 300s and all that. Like, bro, Ballard used to be on me like, you've lost your chip. I'm like, coach, there's nothing I can do with this, bro. Like this dude is too
And he knows
fast.
too.
He knew it, right?
He knew Monday's just.
He knew it. He's just next level quick, bro. Like there was nothing I can do.
I'm glad you touched on fatherhood too, Lou, and I want to ask more questions about your mental frame and how you work with the kids and things like that. But kind of what has being a dad taught you to translate to how you train and things like that, how you train the kids and things like that.
Similar to the stuff we learned from playing the game. Or like I said, it's like being able to see a process through, right? Like you might have a kid come in your gym and like I train a couple girls here who go to Staley, right? And they're some of the top players in the country, like top 50 in the country, going high major Division 1 next year. Like a lot of really good girls in the area, but then you might have a dude that you work out on a weekend in a private session who can barely dribble the basketball without kicking it off his foot. So you gotta be able to, some patience and being able to see the process through, which I've definitely learned from even more so from being a father. Like, bro, you got to have patience with these kids. You got to be willing to watch them grow and allow them to grow, which is all transferable to being a trainer too. Learning how to teach, which is one thing. There's a thing called expert arrogance, and it's the idea that like since I've been through this and done this stuff that why doesn't this person, this little kid, this eighth grader just get it, right? Whether that's footwork thing, like take a pull up footwork, which is something that kids seem to struggle with, getting their inside foot down first on a pull up. It's like I can do that in my sleep. Like why is it hard for little Johnny to learn that when we've been doing it for 2 months? But just teaching how to, you know, see that process through and teaching ways to get to that kid in a way that's going to allow them to learn and grow is something that I think is the same in my early stages of fatherhood to what I do in my day to day with training these kids. I think that's one of the biggest things, and can make a parent a really good or a really bad parent. It can make a trainer a great trainer or a really bad trainer. So I would say that's one of the main things.
For sure. You know, um, we're kind of talking about some of the kids you were training. Nowadays, what do you think is the biggest mistake kids have in their training when it comes to basketball? Are kids overdoing it? Are kids underdoing it? Or, kind of what is the misconception with training nowadays that kids have, you think?
I've touched on this on my podcast with my brother. I think it's a mixture of those things for sure. Um, Vic actually posted a video a while back, or somebody posted a video of him talking about like your entire basketball identity can't be through my lens. He was talking about himself. It was like the biggest thing he sees with trainers, they have no creativity or no identity for themselves, which, when we were growing up, and obviously the era before us, when they were growing up more so, there were no trainer. Like we were kind of the early stages, at least myself, early stages of like having a trainer. Like Vic, who's been in this training business for a really long time, he made his bread and butter like early because he was one of the only dudes doing this. You know what I mean? So people were like going to him, and obviously he's had a tremendous impact on our city. But now it's I mean everyone's a trainer and everyone does it. And so because of that, because the supply is just so big, people just feel like they have to have one in order to be successful at basketball. So you get a very limited lens. And I try to tell my kids that, like, dude, don't. We can only do so much. We play a big part, and we can be influential, but we can only take you a step up, maybe 2 steps up. The rest of it is just about like what you're doing in your day to day. Like, are you waking up the next day and being hungry to learn and hungry to get better, or are you not? Or are you just waiting for Jalen to get you a week's amount of shots in a 1 hour session? Like that's just so I think yeah, there's a component of it where kids are overtrained and kind of trained out. I think the biggest one though is not knowing what they want out of the training, which I've touched on in a podcast. It's like, what do you value more? You have to know yourself as a player. Are you valuing acquiring skills, or are you valuing more of the IQ, which I think both have their place? But if you're a guy who can already go between the legs, can already go behind the back, already knows what a down screen is, um, knows the basics of a ball screen, like your training probably shouldn't be doing 100 combo moves so that you can tighten up your handle. It should be like, all right, now let's teach you how to play the game, how to make reads, which is something that I think, like, as a trainer, I look a lot into some of the European ways of training versus or developing versus the US, and they both have their pros and cons. But in the US, we like value skill. We value teaching a kid how to do these 500 different moves. Where we miss out a lot on is like teaching a kid how to actually play, how to move, how to understand spacing, understand how to play within a role, within a system. So I've literally had high school basketball players who play, and I'm not even joking, JV or college basketball, that if you say, hey, go set a down screen over there, they're looking at you like you're speaking a different language. Like they don't even understand what that stuff is, which I think is crazy. So in my earlier stages of training, I fell into that trap. Like I was doing a lot of skill stuff. Every single training session, we were learning a new move, right? Whereas now it's very much more like IQ based and read based. So 75% of the pie or of the session is like, come off this down screen, and if the defender trails you, then you curl it. If the defender cheats it, then you're going to pop it. And if you don't know how to make that read yet, we're going to do that a million times until you start to be able to recognize it in the game, which I at least I hope, because obviously I'm still growing as a trainer. But I hope that kind of pays off in the long run, which I think it has. I think kids that I've been training with for a while are becoming a lot better readers of the game and being able to process it, which I think a lot of kids miss out on. So
100%. Shoot, you heard it here first. If you don't, train with J. Lou.
get in that gym with me.
Get in that gym.
Let's do it.
I want to ask you this too. What would you say is the biggest separator between a good player and a great player? Obviously, you've shared gyms with while you're playing and now training. You've shared the gyms with a lot of great players. What would you say separates a good player and a great player?
Right now, especially with just the demeanor of the kids right now, I would just say mindset. Like if your approach to the game is not what we've been talking about for the last 50 minutes in terms of like being intentional, being passionate, being competitive against yourself and against others, you're going to have a short-lived career. I think kids right now are a lot more into which I mean, this is a criticism, but at the same time, because I'm very critical on the players because of this stuff, but at the same time, I gotta do better at having some grace with them, just because of all the extra crap that they're dealing with that we didn't have to deal with as much as a player. Social media and highlight culture, the way that it is right now, all those other things that you guys hear about on Instagram a bunch. These kids' mindset is just not consistently where it needs to be. Whereas like Zayd, you can attest to this. Like growing up in a gym with, like we keep talking about Vic, growing up in a gym with him, it's like if you're not a dog, if you're any ounce of, if you have any soft bone in your body, you're just gonna get eaten alive in an hour session. You're gonna get embarrassed. Just teaching kids how to like approach the game with that level of intensity and love and passion and approach, no matter how it comes off. So like you don't have to be a rah-rah guy. Like I certainly was not a rah-rah guy. I was pretty much even keel, like didn't show a bunch of emotion, but in my head I'm like, I want to win. I want to be the best player on the court right now. I want to kill this person who's guarding me. And you don't really see that consistently enough, which I think holds some players back. And I try to tell my kids, like, there are a lot of really skilled basketball players who are so soft that they're never going to get a chance. And then there are some players who really aren't that skilled, but they're so locked in on the mental side of the game, and they bring the right level of, swag and confidence and approach to the game that allows them to look a lot better than what they are. And those players are always going to be picked over the really skilled ones who are soft. So I would just say mindset. Like, if you're not trying to feed your love for the game every day, you're going to have a short career. You're not going to play. You're not going to have the impact that you want, and you're going to watch a bunch of players who, go watch March Madness. Like, the dudes who are on that floor making big plays are all dogs, and they compete and they show up and do their job every day. And it's just as simple as that. So,
100%. For you, what would you say is the most rewarding part of training? Um, in all the training sessions that you do.
right. There's the obvious one, which is, the little like jolt of joy that you get where a player can't do something and then they do it, right? Like, whether that's a fourth grade, like I won't say her name, but I train a fourth grade girl right now who um, literally could not go between her legs. And we've been working over the last like 2 months on it. And now, it's still a little raw and ugly, but she can go between the legs now. Like, that stuff is super rewarding. Then I will say this guy's name because I know we wouldn't care. When I was in high school, when I was doing a little bit of training for some side money, I trained a kid named Cale Mortimer, who, was a second grader at the time or whatever he was. And then we start picking up training again post college. And I watched that dude grind from, junior year, averaging 9 points a game, and pretty much, like, he was good. He was really good. Like, I knew that he was a good player, but no one else really cared about him in the city. Not to talk bad on him, but he wasn't a top name in the city by any stretch of the imagination. To senior year, averaging 21 points a game, being in the Missouri-Kansas All-Star game, being one of the best players in the city at the point guard spot, shooting over 5% from three his senior year. He's now second all time in threes in a season behind me, which was super dope to see. But like, in a year stretch, or a summer stretch, really, wasn't even a full year, watching that dude grind to go earn that was super dope. I'm early in it, so I haven't really took a kid from ground up to, going off to college. But I have a kid, I train a kid named Bradley Dahl from Kearney. And when we first started training, there was zero, chance that I thought that he would pan out to be a college basketball player. And now he's got a bunch of, NAIA offers, and he's going to go play college basketball. He's about to commit here pretty soon. So just those little wins, man, that you get, whether it's a daily win where, a parent might hit you up and send you a video of their son or daughter doing something that you worked on in the gym, or a kid doing as much as going off to college, bro. Like, there's a bunch of rewarding stuff in it, which is really fun to see, man. The process is such a cool thing to just be a part of it every day outside of yourself. Obviously, I've been a part of it as a player since I was this big, but to now see it in other people and know that you had, a piece of that puzzle is pretty cool.
We got a couple more questions for you here, Lou. If you could go back and give yourself one piece of basketball advice, what would it be?
It's easy. Believe in the work that I put in fully. And I say that because I think, going into college, and I had a successful career, and I, love my career and everything that I was able to do and be a part of at Washburn and stuff. But just to believe in myself fully, bro, like, when no mid-major would really take a chance on me, I kind of allowed that to put me in this imaginary box that I made up for myself of like, oh, well, I'm just a Division II basketball player now. Early, I quickly got over that once I realized that Division II basketball players are great. But like I said, bro, you look at dudes like Trevor, who was able to go to the NBA out of a Division II school and play in the G League, and he gave Duke 26. And then you look at dudes like Diego Bernard on that same team who had a year in the G League, and then guys who I was fortunate enough to play with at Washburn who are now overseas making full-on careers as a player. And I had the opportunity, obviously, to do it, but I would just say my career could have been even better if I fully believed in who I thought I was coming into college. Just coming off the high school stuff, like I really thought that I was worthy of being one of the top players in the country. And if I carried that out with a little bit more, trust in that stuff, I think I could have had an even more successful college career and accomplished a little bit more. But that's just hindsight's 2020, though. It's a learning lesson for sure. But yeah, I would say that's one of the things that I always kind of think about.
100%. Just to close out the episode, man, we have two kind of more questions on the more fun side.
Right.
So who wins in a one-on-one in your prime versus the best player that you train right now?
We're talking high school players that I train now, or what? Or
Yeah,
college, or anybody?
anyone.
Let's go high school. Let's go high school.
Oh, me for sure, bro. In my prime, yo, whenever there's a kid in my group that I think is like, getting too big of a head, I'm like, bro, check up, dog. Like, I'll play with them dudes now. Dude, definitely me. Like my high school versus anyone that I train in high school, for sure. I'm cooking. I want them all to hear that. I'm posting that. Posting down the story, bro. I want them all to hear that. Yeah, man. I love that question, though.
Yeah, man, that's funny.
What move? We got two more questions for you. What move would you say every basketball player should have in their quote in their bag, quote unquote? What move should you say every player should be able to get to? Should be a go-to move.
Play off 2 feet. I don't know if that's a move, but play off 2 feet. That's something I did not even really learn much until college.
I agree.
And we rep that every single day from the guard position, especially since you're small. Like, if you're a small guard, don't go in there amongst the trees and try to shoot a one-legged layup. Like, learn how to, and these aren't necessarily moves, but learn how to use your body to create angles and get downhill and then play off 2 feet and be able to make reads off playing off two. Whether that's a bump into a little fader, bump turnarounds, all that stuff. I would say that for sure.
Man, when you said that, I thought about me. I thought about one drill specifically, and I don't know if this is the same for y'all, but I'm a big, so whenever we would do drive slide,
Right.
you know the drill I'm talking about, where you got to drive from the wing, kick, whatever.
Dog, I say that every day to my group. Drive slide is ingrained in my
It's
basketball.
it's here for the rest of my life.
Man.
And that drill, when I was in high school, I was taller than most of the kids. I could jump up and just grab it off 1 foot, 2 feet, but I didn't really understand what it meant to play off of 2 feet until we started doing drive slide. I'd have to drive it, jump stop, and then kick it. And then now I'm like, okay, now I have a bunch of options off of this. I could hit a cutter, I could shoot a float, I can get to a pull up. Like, there's just so many other ranges you can get to. So I like that play off 2 feet.
Bro, I tell the guards, like, a lot of times it's not even a score. Like you said, like hit a cutter, or I tell all my players that actions like that is why I have the 3-point record at Washburn. Like Tyler getting downhill, playing off 2 feet, and then pivoting out and just making a play for somebody else. So a lot of times from the guard perspective, it's not even to score the ball necessarily. It's giving you options to go make reads and go make plays for someone else, collapse the defense and kick it out. Like, you get easy shots off that. The person passing the ball out of that looks super good if they do it. So yeah, man, that's definitely what I would say is the biggest one. At least that translates over to the next level.
The final question we always ask each one of our guests, and then I'll let Zaid hit the home run. If you had to give any of our listeners one piece of advice to stick with them, what would it be?
I've kind of already touched on it, but whatever you're doing, just love it. Like, love what you're doing and be obsessed with it. Learn how to grow out of it. And just be, again, Coach Ballard words, be 2 feet in the circle, man. Like, don't don't do anything halfway. Like just get in there and grind and do your job, do what you're supposed to do, be intentional, but just be obsessed with what you're doing. I think that'll carry you out a long way. And like I said, the result of whatever you're doing, if you're obsessed with it and you're constantly finding ways to grow and advance, it's going to be a positive outcome. So,
Nice. I had one more question I was meaning to ask earlier in the episode, right before I close up. Toughest player you had to guard throughout your whole basketball career?
Trevor Hudgens for sure. As in college, for sure. Like,
Was that your matchup when you guys played Northwest?
I didn't guard him like
I'm sure you did switch.
schematically, but switching and just throughout the course of the game, definitely had to be on him a lot. Um, him for sure, and reason being is because like he obviously could shoot the hell out of the ball. He could handle it. Obviously, he could pass it, but he uses body so well. And he's like he's stockier guard, right? Especially compared to me, I'm small. So like playing off bumps and creating angles using his body, he was really really good at that, getting downhill. But he could do anything, score at all levels, which was. Dude, he was extremely hard to guard. But then, bro, every day in practice guarding Tyler was frustrating. There's a lot, man. We had a lot of good guards in MIAA. Trey Buchanan averaged 26 or something, which was nuts. And he used to make the most wild shots at a high percentage too. It wasn't like he was shooting 20%. I think he was shooting like 45% from three or something stupid. So we had a lot, bro. But yeah, Trevor is definitely up there. Yeah, there's some more though. Tyler Hero, I played him in high school. He was hard to guard. Darius Garland, I played him in like late middle. I played him in like 8th grade. He was obviously really, really good. So there's been a couple, bro.
Darius Garland, what a pool.
Yeah.
Now, we had some good Northwest teams, obviously, when we were at Washburn, but the Northwest teams before we came were elite.
Loaded, bro. Loaded.
I'd be interested to see if those teams went up with Ben to the D1 level, how far they would go in
Dude.
like the tournament or do in like the Big Ten.
Right. They had it all, bro. Great point guards, a lot of great role players. Every player on the floor could shoot the three. So it was a matchup problem for sure. And the coach, I mean, Coach McCollum is obviously a basketball genius. So
Wizard, man. He's a wizard.
that doesn't make the job any easier. You had to play a nearly perfect game, which we obviously did a couple times. So,
Jalen, we appreciate you coming on, man. We hope this was an easy conversation for you.
for sure.
Definitely shared a lot of good insight about your time as a basketball player and now as a trainer and a father. So we really appreciate you coming on. Everyone listening, we hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like, comment, and share. And we'll be back next time.
And if you don't, go train with Jay Lou. Stop playing.
Come on, man. Get in the gym with me. Hit me up.
Appreciate you, Lou.
All right. Appreciate y'all, man.
Appreciate it.